気ままに暮らす野生のポケモンたち。逃げたり隠れたり懐いたり。こっちだよ。
Welcome to Remember 64, where this week we take photos of pocket monsters. Welcome back to the show if you're a returning listener, or welcome for the first time to level 12 of Remember 64. My name is David Petrangelo, and I always center my photos of wild mythical creatures. I'm one of your two hosts that will be with you on this adventure to collect, play, and discuss the classic Nintendo 64 console with you and fellow nerdy guests. My co-host Luigi is away on vacation this week, but we will have a guest coming up in just a few moments, Michael R. Power from my other podcast, Back in My Day, to talk about the one and only Pokemon Snap. And of course, stay tuned for the end of the episode as well. We'll have some of your answers for the nerd question of the day that we asked on social media. What's the most photogenic Gen 1 Pokemon? And as always, Remember 64 show on Patreon. You can find us there where you can get episodes early every single time. You can help us shape the show going forward of what games we're going to play next, all for just $1 a month. All right, let's bust out the history books, everyone.
I'm learning.
It's time to head back to July of 1999. On the 9th, the first American Pie film is released. On the 27th, for anyone that's a millennial and anyone that was into skateboarding or any kind of extreme sports at the time, July 27th, 1999, Tony Hawk lands the first ever 900 on a skateboard at the X Games. And of course, on July 26th, Pokemon Snap hits shelves in North America.
Today's assignment, photograph the elusive Pokemon. How do you do it? You're gonna be fast. Ah! You need a keen eye, the best equipment, and lightning-quick reflexes.
No, you don't. All you need is Pokemon Snap, the first Pokemon game for N64.
Developed by HAL Laboratory, which you may have heard in previous levels of the podcast for Super Smash Bros. And Kirby 64, the game was initially meant to be based on the Jack and the Beanstalk fairy tale and made for the 64DD. That's the N64 console add-on that had more disk space and RAM to do more with games. But it wasn't until early of 1999 that it was announced the support for the DD was being dropped completely for the game. In a 2010 interview, Iwata said that thanks to the growing success of Pokemon in Japan and mixed feelings about the Jack and the Beanstalk's initial direction for the game, he said, quote, "We wondered what players would enjoy taking pictures of instead, and later on we made a somewhat forced switch to taking pictures of Pokemon." After the game's launch, Pokemon Snap sticker stations were available at Blockbuster, and this, my friends, is a perfect time to bust out the June 1999 issue of Nintendo Power. Sure, the game has some previews and tips and tricks just a couple of weeks before the game hit North American shelves, but I have to mention, they did talk about these printer stations. It says, quote, "Gotta print 'em out." One of the best features of Pokemon Snap is that you'll be able to convert your pictures into stickers. It's simple. Just build a portfolio of snapshots, then take the game down to your nearest Blockbuster video store and print out your favorites. It'll cost you a measly $3 for 16 stickers, and the process takes no time at all. Now, what's also great about these pictures, this preview, and this write-up is it shows you what the actual size of the stickers will be. As an example, if you're not looking at this page right now in front of you, hold up your pinky. About 2/3 the size of your pinky is how big these stickers actually were when they were printed out. It seems small, sure, but it's also 1999, and you do get 16 of them, so I guess it could be worse. In the United States alone, Pokemon Snap sold in excess of 151,000 copies in the first 3 days of release. Since that release in late July, it was the most rented game until the end of October of 1999. Overall, it was the 11th best-selling N64 game around the world, with over 6.3 million copies sold. All right, of course, welcome to the show, Mr. Michael R. Power. As I mentioned previously, my co-host and my partner in crime in the now 4 years running Back in My Day podcast. Mike, it's crazy, man, that we've been doing it this long. Welcome to Remember 64.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you've even branched out and have your own podcast empire now. Started with the humble beginnings on Back in My Day. So I'm glad to be part of it. And yeah, it's 4 years, really. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, every time I post an episode, it asks what quote unquote season we're in, and I always just do that based on the year. And in the last 6 months, I've been typing number 4 beside it. So in 2022, it is we're into the middle of the 4th year of doing it, and it's wild. So we have talked lots about Nintendo 64 on that podcast, but if anyone hasn't heard it, and if people want to hear more, what's your story, man? What's your story with the N64 growing up and kind of into today, I guess?
Actually, I had an N64 growing up. It's kind of a not that interesting story, but the N64 was introduced to me by our other host, Ian Walter. I never actually played N64 before until one day he came over, probably around 96, 97. He's a few years older. He was staying over at my house because we're family friends for like a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he or my mom had taken him to Blockbuster. He had rented an N64, and that was the first time I ever played it. And I know we had GoldenEye. I don't even remember what else we had. We played GoldenEye all weekend. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted an N64. So I saved all my birthday money up. I convinced my sister to pitch her birthday money in.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. To buy a game. And I bought the console. And I think my dad bought me a game. My sister bought a game. My sister chose Cruisin' USA.
Not bad.
So GoldenEye and Cruisin' USA were my first 2 games.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
I must have been, it came out in what, 97? So I must have been 10 years old. It must have been that fall. And I bought it Toys R Us money because I used to get birthday money in Toys R Us bucks or whatever. And yeah, I still remember going to the little video game section they had in Toys R Us and busting all my birthday money and my dad there and buying the N64.
And just loving life, and then that was it. That's all it took.
It's all downhill since then. That's when life was simple.
It's all been a steady decline since then. Did you, for anyone who doesn't know, was this like your first Nintendo console? Did you grow up just have a Nintendo,
Nope.
or were you sort of a mix of other things too?
I had an NES, which I still have. I had the Game Boys, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. That might have come after the 64.
Yeah,
I was a Nintendo kid for sure.
Yeah.
And one of my best Christmases ever my whole life was when I got Super Mario 64 and Pokemon Blue in the same Christmas.
Ooh,
I still remember that. I still remember just like my cousin from England was over. The memory's just ingrained. It's like one of those core memories. And it was just like me playing my Game Boy, Pokemon, him playing Super Mario, us taking turns, me showing him how Pokemon works. He's like 5 or 6 years older. I don't think he cared about Pokemon, but he loved playing Super Mario 64. And they probably didn't. I don't even know if they came out in the same year, but that's the year I got them. I got them in Christmas.
Yeah. That's a crazy good combo, man. Holy geez. Spoiled Christmas, and you got a nice new console and all that stuff. So, okay. So you mentioned Pokemon. Now, I mentioned it just before you came on that you're a huge Pokemon fan and always have been. At the time, was Pokemon Snap something you were looking forward to? Do you remember? Or was it just like, oh, this is another Pokemon game. I want to take pictures of the favorite Pokemon that I have on my, OG Game Boy.
We were probably 10 years old when this all
roughly
N64 stuff went down. Don't remember a lot of it. And I actually was thinking to myself the other day, I need to ask my parents because I have no idea how they chose the games that they got me, because I had a lot of good games growing up. Was it me telling them I wanted them? Were they talking to other parents and learning about the hot games? But man, I had Star Fox, both Zeldas, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, had Pokemon Stadium, I had Pokemon Snap, I had Super Mario 64. I had all the best Nintendo. I had Mario Party. I had all the best, like
all the heavy hitters, right? Like all the best sellers.
Yeah, N64 Nintendo games. I still, and a lot of them I've lost, but I still have my Pokemon Snap, so I've busted it out to research this episode. I have no idea how I ended up with it, but I did somehow. Probably a gift. So I wasn't
Yeah.
buying stuff for myself at that age.
Yeah.
Probably a gift. They probably just knew I would listen to Pokemon. That's my guess. Since I was into the Game Boy games, I had all the other stuff. So
Yeah. Well, at this point, I think just the first gen was out, and then second gen was about to be released. I think for us on Game Boy or Game Boy Color, whichever the second gen was sort of started. So for me, I know that like Pokemon Snap was something that we rented. And I've already mentioned in the episode that it was one of the highest rented games in North America in the Nintendo 64's life. It was
Wow.
the top rented game for most of 1999, and it came out in the middle of 1999. So it only had half a year to do it, and it was like near the top of the list for most rented games, which is crazy. And I think, I don't know. So myself and Luigi, who's not here for the episode, but we played the game. We streamed the game together, and we completed it. We didn't think we would, but we thought we would stream it for a couple hours, see how things go, compare our scores and all that stuff. At the end of it, it took us about 3 to 3.5 hours with a couple of small breaks in between to complete it from start to finish.
all 62 Pokemon, or just all the
think
levels?
we were all the levels, but I think we got most of the Pokemon. We might have missed, 5 at the most each, because I think you do have to get most of them in order to get enough points to progress and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's like, if that's the amount of time that it took, if you sat there and did the whole thing, it's like perfect renting type of game. So I totally get why it was so high up there, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just like,
Yeah, you can beat it in a weekend. So you can rent it for the weekend, 2-day rental at Blockbuster, and you can beat the whole game and have a lot of fun doing it. But that being said, it also does have a lot of replayability, even though you can beat it. Yeah, we'll get into it, I'm sure. But
well, yeah, and that's actually sort of why I teed it up a little bit too, is that like the game may feel or sound short nowadays because so many games are like 500 hours long or whatever you want to attribute to them. Like a game that is less than 10 hours is quote unquote short now. But you're right. The
well, on top of
replayability,
that, I will get into the new Pokemon Snap, which I own on the Switch, and talk about how much deeper that game is than the original game. So the original game was, maybe games were shorter back then in general. But yeah, you're right. There's only 8 levels or something like that. And yeah, you could probably beat the whole game in a day and complete it in probably a weekend. You could like beat the story in a day and probably complete it, as in get all 62 Pokemon, do the secret levels, maybe even go for the high scores in like the whole week.
It's really about the high score and getting all 62 as opposed to getting just 58 this time or just 60 or whatever, right? So that's fun. I guess you could do that. You can compare your score to friends, and you could print out your pictures at Blockbuster. Apparently that was a thing that I don't remember.
That's amazing.
I don't know if you ever did that. I never did that because I never owned the game, but
no, hell no. I wish.
I know, right? Apparently they came in like, these little stickers that were like, 2x2 sort of thing. And you could actually peel them off and use them as stickers, which is kind of cool. But okay, so you busted out. We'll get to the new one and sort of compare notes of the two, but you busted out the original one a little bit. How did it feel? Was there muscle memory there? Like, what was the deal?
Yeah, I busted it out. Obviously, N64 controllers have come a lot way since then. The first thing that stuck out to me was the inverted control. Oh, that threw me off.
Brutal.
I can't do inverted. So when I was a kid, though, I felt like I controlled that camera like a pro. Like I was whipping it around and, getting the best shots. I fired it up and I continued my save file. And I used to do this like crazy thing when I was a kid and like beat games, then delete it and start it over again. Right. Like no time for that now. But I realized in the save file that was there, I don't know when I last played it. It must have been years and years and years ago. But I know for sure I've gotten all 62 before. But when I fired it up, I was missing 2 Pokemon. So I played through each level once and I got the 2 that I was missing. I just remember, totally like you said, muscle memory. I was missing Muck, who's kind of hard to get. You have to throw 3
I don't think I got Muck, so that was definitely one that I didn't get because I remembered not getting that. Yeah.
He's and I got Starmie, who's also kind of hard to get. You have to get the Staryu, a photo of him to circle you. At the end, he'll jump into the whirlpool and a Starmie will pop out, and you gotta like be right on it.
Yeah,
like not
it's
an easy
super
one,
fast,
so.
like zipping around like crazy
Yeah.
fast. Yeah,
So those were the two I was missing. So that was fun to get those two. It was fun to go back to it after playing the new one as well,
right.
because I think, yeah, we'll get into the new one, but the new one is basically just a massive upgrade improvement on every level to the old one. And that's so the graphics of the new one are so much better. So looking at these old photos, it's hilarious to think what I thought used to look like a good photo of a of a Pokemon, and you can do so much more editing in the new one. There's so much, the levels are so much more intricate. But I did the nostalgia was flooding back. I remembered how to get the Pikachu to um, go on the cut down logs and do their lightning. I remembered how to get Jigglypuff to sting at the end of the level. Like, yeah, the surfboard. Like there, yeah. And back then, without the internet, you only knew those things because you played the level a million times. You tried everything, or a friend came over and showed you, right? It's different because the new Pokemon. Let's get ahead of myself, but the new one has a lot of hidden Pokemon, hidden poses, and really intricate things you have to do. Like really intricate. Like you have to do something at the beginning of the level, get someone to do something, hit them in the right sequence, wait till the end of the level, play the song at the right time, hit the crystal bloom, they call it, and light it up and do all this and that. And this one, much simpler what you have to do, but there was no internet to tell you. You had to figure it out yourself.
Or you had
Or
to
you had
get
to hear from word of
Pokemon,
mouth,
or
a
you had to
friend
get
showed you.
Nintendo Power or something like that. Like you,
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
the
So
strategy guides and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, what was your experience before I, talk too much about my experience? What was do you
No,
have the
no,
game?
that's
You rented it?
yeah. So I rented it growing up, and I played it this time, and immediately the first couple levels are a lot more muscle memory. But I think as a kid, I know I never completed it myself, because when I got to that final level, I was like, wow, I've never done this before. So when you
Oh,
go
cool.
and
Yeah.
when you go and take a picture of
Of
Mew and
Mew,
do that
yeah.
stuff in the stars, I had never seen that before. And I said that on the stream too. I was like, oh, this is the first time I'm seeing this. Like,
That's a cool moment when you're a kid
it
though, because like
is.
Mew is such a, I don't know, elusive character. If you're a fan of the Game Boy games, and you get him, it's like you finally get Mew. If you never had a friend with the Game Genie or whatever.
Yeah, because like I think in the first, in red and blue or green, or I think maybe even yellow, I'm pretty sure that you kind of have to like cheese the game a little bit in order to get Mew, from what I remember. You have to do all these weird things and sort of break the game a little bit to even get the chance to catch it. And then here, you do have to jump through some hoops in order to do it. But I thought it was kind of cool. It was kind of fun to do that. So yeah, the first few levels, I was like, okay, oh, I kind of remember this, and oh, I kind of remember that, like little things like throwing the apples or the pester ball things in certain spots. But then when I got to the last couple levels, like the cave where the Jigglypuff is and sings and all that, I completely forgot about that part. So when the Jigglypuff started singing, I was just like, oh my God, this is great. Like, this is the greatest picture ever. And then I almost don't remember that last or the second last level where the Starmie is and you're going down the river and stuff. I
The
barely
Valley, I think it's called.
yeah, Valley. That's it. I barely remember that. Like
Oh, that's
almost
my
at all.
favorite level. That's
It's
my favorite
great.
level.
There's so much stuff to do in
Yeah.
it. There's a
I
couple like trick
think-
shots where you kind of have to knock the Squirtle into the Mankey, and then like that part I sort of figured out as I went, which was kind of fun. Like even now, I don't remember ever doing that, or at least I forgot.
Did you
Maybe I
get
did now.
Gyarados? You got Gyarados.
I
didn't you?
did. I did.
Yes.
In the
That's the best
thing.
one in
Yeah.
the whole
So
game.
he just busts out of the waterfall and
Yeah.
everything. It's awesome. And the pictures look cool too. Like when you get those sort of mythical Pokemon like him, and even the Charizard. And
Well, he's not mythical. He's just a regular Pokemon, to be honest. But just in case someone, save your emails, everyone. You Pokemon.
You can send them to me.
Fanatics,
You can send them to me. It's
Pokemaniacs.
fine. Yeah. The Pokemon.
Dave doesn't know what he says. Dave doesn't
Clearly,
know.
And that's another point, is like one of the reasons why I like this game so much compared to, let's say, I don't know, maybe the new one, for example, which we'll talk about in a sec, is because I've only played the original Pokemon. I've never played. I think I made it like a quarter or a third of the way through Gen 2. because I do have it on Game Boy, but it was always my brother's and I just never played it. I think it's silver. I think that's one we got. So for me, it's like, oh, great. I recognize all of these Pokemon. I might understand what they do and I can sort of picture them on my Game Boy and stuff. So all that's kind of fun. But I will say the best picture I took, which I posted on social media and had the best time doing it, was the picture of Slowpoke's butt. That
Yes, I saw
was
that clip. That was funny.
absolutely hilarious. In the river level, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Slowpoke is on the shore, and
Wait, that was the most points you had, like the best picture?
No, it wasn't the most points I had, but the funny part about it is the fact that I took a picture of Slowpoke in the middle of evolving into what's the evolved
Slowbro.
Slowbro. He sticks his tail into the water, and then the cloister or whatever Pokemon it's supposed to be grabs onto his tail, and now he's evolved, right? I take a picture of right in the middle of the evolution. You can see the tail coming out of the water. You can see the red circle around him. The next time I go and do that level to try and get the other Pokemon that I might have missed, I take a picture too early and it's just Slowpoke's butt with his tail up. And apparently that gave me more points. And Oak was like, oh, this is a much better picture. We're going to keep this. So Professor Oak has a kink for Slowpoke's butt. That's basically what it comes down to.
It's you could be on something. Maybe we got to go around, take all the pictures of all the Pokemon butts to get unlock the real high scores. Someone should test that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think, but the grading system in the original one is improved in the new one. I think the AI obviously has come a long way. I was going to ask just some questions I thought before we started. Your favorite level, because for me, the volcano and the valley, the one with Gyarados, I don't think any levels come close to those two. The amount of cool shots you can get, the amount of Pokemon you can get, like in the volcano, you can get all the Charmander at the start. That's always really fun because you can get blocked by the egg. You can get the Moltres, you get the Magmar fighting.
Yeah, Charizard at the end.
You can get the Charizard at the end. You get the Arcanine at the end. Like,
yes,
that's so. I used to love that level. That's probably my favorite level. And I would just obsess over and over about getting like the best Charizard photo. Like, you know, just like keep doing the level over and over. Arcanine photo, over and over and over, or Magmar. Like, the new one we'll get into has a lot. There's a lot more variation.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and they do a good job with the new one, and I'll explain why. But nothing will replace the memories of just that old, replaying those old levels over. It's just the same level, like.
Well, that's the thing is I think that like I go back and remember some of the levels but I never completed it. I barely remember that valley level, but playing through it and playing each level at least 2 or 3 times during our playthrough of those few hours, I think that valley one is the best one because the Squirtles are kind of fun. There's different things you can do with them. Obviously, like you mentioned,
it's the most interactive.
It's the most interactive, and there's the most going on. And there's parts of it that are fast, parts of it that are slow. There's a whirlpool thing. Like there's a whole bunch of things going on, and there's multiple things you can do in order to progress to get towards the last couple of objectives in the game. But yeah, I think that one's probably the best one. I mean, I when I was younger, I probably would have said, oh, just the first one because it's fun and Pikachu's right there and whatever.
The beach, yeah.
Like maybe it would be
a
that
good level
one
too.
Yeah, there's enough going on there, but like I like the Pidgeys that fight the Meowth and use the gust on them. Like that's kind of fun. But it's probably the Valley one because it's just more intricate. There's more going on. It's busier, and somehow that ups the difficulty a little bit, but gives you more variety in a game that, like you said, is far more simplified than anything that would be out even 5 years later or 10 years later, right? So, yeah. So okay, so simplified for this one, but the new one, there's improvements. So what's like the first? You mentioned like the point system. It's not just based on center of the photo, size, and if they're doing something fancy, basically jumping or evolving or whatever it might be. So what's some of the differences, or why is it that much more improved?
Yeah, there's a bunch of reasons why. And number one, it's just a bigger game. There's more levels, there's more Pokemon, there's more to do. It looks better, all the things you'd expect.
Yeah, sure.
And then number two, improvements they've made to sort of the gameplay or the scoring. So you know how in the original one you get to save one photo of every Pokemon,
Yes.
right? In the new game, you get to save 4 photos of every Pokemon because there's called a 1-star pose, which is just a Pokemon doing nothing, a 2-star pose, which is usually them eating, a 3-star pose, which is usually them doing something exciting, and a 4-star pose, which is the hardest thing to get them to do. And so you can save one of each pose. And then within that one Pokemon, you want to get like 4,000, 5,000 points to get platinum 1-star, platinum 2-star, platinum 3-star. And you want to get a good photo of each pose. So you can save at least 4 photos of each Pokemon. On top of that, every level has 3 versions of the level, which you have to unlock.
No way.
Yeah, you have to go through the level, get enough points in your first go through to unlock level 2, then play a couple times, unlock level 3. Depending on the level you pick, different Pokemon show up. You're still on the track, but the track is different and the Pokemon animations are different.
Oh, nice.
And so it's just like way deeper in that way. So the levels are different. Between 1 is not the same as 2, it's just not the same as 3, and different Pokemon may appear. And to help you, there's requests which kind of hint you towards how to get those 4-star shots. They're like, oh, throw this at this Pokemon and try to lure him over here, and then you complete the requests, and that's how you get sort of the 4 stars. Even though there's requests that kind of hint you, I still have to Google sometimes how to get the 4-star of this Pokemon, right?
Yeah, because it's just not clear enough or whatever. Yeah.
So those are the main reasons. On top of that, they have photo editing. So you can edit, you can add filters, you can add stickers, you can try to make your Pokemon with googly eyes, or try to make them look like Goku and put fire all around them and put their hair on fire, like stickers. And then there's also like a little bit of a social media aspect, but with Nintendo's sort of safe, how Nintendo likes to say it's safe. Yeah, safe online. So it's like you get to post 6 photos online, almost like to like your Pokemon Snap Instagram page.
Gotcha.
They show trending photos, and you can what's called sweet metal, like it's equivalent of like. That's all you can do. You can't write people's stuff or whatever. You can just like their photos. So you kind of see what level is being featured, and you kind of post photos on that level and try to get your likes up. And I was like obsessed with doing that for a while. I was like, what's the featured level of the week? And I was like make sure I'm doing that level over and over, trying to get all the Pokemon poses. There's like, honestly, feels like hundreds of Pokemon. It's like you can play one level in this game, the new one, like in the old Pokemon Snap for N64, you could beat the whole game in a weekend. In the new one, you could play like probably one level in a weekend. Level two, try to get 4 stars of every Pokemon, and it would take you all weekend. No, you're not all weekend. You probably a couple levels, but basically it's a lot longer.
Still, like everything you've explained. Yeah, everything you've explained is just constant replayability, right? Like whether it's you playing with someone or playing on your own, like whether you're competing scores or just trying to do something, like every single one of those things that they have already tells you that they've just expanded in every way. And like, I can't even imagine, like at this point, how many gens are they in before this game came out? Like 7, 8, like they have so like, sure, maybe there aren't 1,000 Pokemon in it, but the fact that they could even just do a couple hundred is already more than double of what they had. So they have lots of flexibility just in that. So that's crazy too, right?
Yeah, but the core gameplay of you sort of on a track, like you're an amusement ride, and the Pokemon kind of doing their actions, you kind of can interfere more in the new one, like because there's just more going on. You have, instead of pester balls, you have like orbs, which if you hit the Pokemon, he'll do a cool action. There's also these flowers that you hit, and they set off events called crystal blooms. And there's still the food, so it still feels very much like the same game. You still have the flute, you still unlock the ability to zoom through the level eventually, so it still gives you all that nostalgia. It's just giving you like everything you remember, but then more. It's what you would want, honestly. What if you really like the first one, what you would want out of a sequel. And it feels like they waited the right amount of time to me, because if they did it any earlier, it would just feel like I don't know, like more levels of Pokemon Snap. They really had to wait until enough years went by and they could add enough, and there was like being connected to the internet, all that, like
the fact that they implemented all of that stuff is great. I mean, like, we mentioned the Blockbuster Video thing. I mean, that's the recent version, the today version of that is doing the social media stuff, like you mentioned, right? Like that's what that is. It's a digital sticker or whatever you want to call it, and you can, I guess, feel good about it when you get all the likes or whatever it is, right? So that's, is anything in it like you mentioned some of the stuff that's the food and you're still on the track and everything. Are there any levels that look or feel the same or different? Like, or is all of that stuff new?
There's a jungle. It's
but it's
there's
not
a beach
it's
and
not
jungle,
like
but
okay.
yeah, there's a surfing Pikachu, which reminded me of the other one. He
That's-
gets in the back of a Pokemon. So
They're probably
there's
doing
not
that on
as-
purpose.
yeah, there's maybe a couple of throwbacks, but
yeah.
not any that stick out to me too much.
Yeah, but that's
There
okay
is-
though. I mean, like you said, they waited over 20 years to make this, 22, 23 years by the time it came out and stuff. Like just do something new. You know, it's the same similar type of idea and game, but just do something new. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah,
So-
they add a bit of a story, but that doesn't matter. It's all about in this one trying to find that 4-star pose. That's what really gets you, like, you know, or unlock or do the sequence of events, which kind of explained earlier. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it takes precision, you know, to like, get to the end of at the end of the level, you get the like mythical or special Pokemon to appear, and that's satisfying.
The one thing I want to make sure, because me and Luigi had a good time sort of making fun of this as we were playing the game when we were streaming, is does Oak give you a wonderful or excellent or any of those sort of exclamations as he's talking?
It's not
looking at your
even Oak.
pictures?
It's like,
Oh,
it's not even
not?
Oak.
Oh,
Yeah. It's some new guy. I don't remember his name, but he does give you the like, yeah, there is like, oh, excellent, oh, whatever, oh, amazing.
wonderful.
Like, yeah, it doesn't I know what you're talking about. That is iconic. It's not as iconic as that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it will become that. You never know.
Yeah, there's no quote. You know, the big thing is trying to get like the platinum stars. You
Yeah.
want to get the 1-star photo platinum, the 2-star photo platinum, that which is the highest, over 4,000 or something like that,
that's
right?
fair. Yeah. And you were going to say there's one last thing you wanted to sort of mention about it.
Yeah, I wanted to just like praise the game a little bit because a lot of like video games are like shooters, right? And I feel like if you look at a video game controller, you have a joystick, you have triggers, you know, it just lends itself to like a shooter type game, you know. And a lot of people always wonder, like, why are video games so violent? Why can't they think of another game where you can aim a reticle and use your triggers that's not shooting and violence and killing? And it's like, well, Nintendo did that. Like, a perfect solution. It was taking photos, right? You still use the controller in the same way, but you're not like shooting anything. It's not violent. And that's what I just wanted to mention about the game, because I don't know, I just feel like that is something that they do with Pokemon Snap. There's probably other games that came before it that I'm not thinking of, and there's probably other games
there's
that do
lots
it,
in between these two games, in between the original and this one. But the fact that like today, I think that's part of it, is like, oh, you know, now they can do so much more and violence looks so much more real in games, and it's a problem, blah blah blah, all the stuff that we hear. But like you said, you're utilizing this tech and these controllers.
I'm saying there should be more like photo taking games, because they can be fun. They're not violent and they're good for kids. And we had Pokemon Snap program. Do the kids these days have any photo? I'm glad the new one's out now, but any photo taking games? You know, there's like a million first person shooting games.
There's horror ones. I know that, but that's
I think
it.
There could be a genre of games safe for kids that use that same kind of mechanic of
Yep.
aiming the reticle and zooming in. It's just you're taking a photo, you're not killing someone, and that would be a positive to gaming. Anyways,
I think exactly, especially for younger generations, like you said. Like I think someone like us, you know, playing the new one is part nostalgia, part it's just fun, and we just think we would enjoy it and stuff. But if someone doesn't have the connection to the original, like we've been talking about, and like we have, they're probably still going to, as a 10-year-old or as a 8-year-old, going to pick it up and still really enjoy it. And it's like you said, it's sort of a family friendly environment, this type of game. Like why not have more of them? That's a good point. I like that. Like take advantage of the tech that we have and make a new kind of game, or make a new kind of genre, I guess, because it's not really a genre. Let's make it a genre. Let's make Pokemon Snap a genre, Mike. Let's do it. That's what we got to do.
Yeah,
gotta call up Mr. Video Game and make it happen, like you call up Mr. Hollywood
just
in our other podcast.
I just feel like if they make games for kids, it's like they always make it, even if it's a kid's game, it's like, I'm trying to think of example, but think of a Paw Patrol game. They'll make it like a shooty type of game, but you know what I mean? But like, why not make it a photo game?
Yeah,
you can use the same mechanics and it could be safe for kids. Anyways, more photo games. That's what
More
we need
photo
in this
games.
world.
That's what we're getting down to. More photo games, please. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, different properties. Why not? That's might be all you need. So, okay. So, Mike, thanks for joining me, man, for coming on Remember 64. If anyone wants to keep an eye on the stuff that me and Mike do elsewhere, it is Back in My Day. Everything on social media is at DayBackIn. That's how you'll find us. Back in My Day was taken across the board when we started it 4 years ago. So at DayBackIn is where you'll find all their stuff. And you can hear myself, Mike, Mr. Ian Walter, and Wife Power talk about tons of nerdy stuff that range anywhere from new Marvel and Star Wars things all the way back to the N64 and even before that. So a whole range of stuff anywhere from the 70s probably up until now, I think, is basically what we cover. So that's where you'll find us. That's where you'll find Mike. And until next time, Michael, thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to my good friend Michael R. Power for joining the show. Now, though, it's time to get into the nerd question of the day and some of your answers.
The nerd question of the day. The nerd question of the day.
Slonko Bomb says, quote, "This is an easy one for my most beautiful legendary queen. I'm always in awe when I see Articuno." Also, check out Slonko Bomb's YouTube page. Great streaming content right there. Nostalgia Nate says, quote, "Gotta go with Eevee, but of course Pikachu knew how to shake the electric moneymaker as well for a photo opportunity." Reliving Retro bounces off that a little bit and says, "It has to be Pikachu, right? All the different poses you can get, I think it has to be Pikachu." My other co-host from Back in My Day, Ian Walter, says Scyther, which is actually an answer we got a couple times, not only on TikTok and on Twitter, but also on Instagram. And Groovy Flacco says it's either Charizard or Psyduck. Game-wise, Psyduck always had me weak with his poses. Thank you everyone who has been part of the Nerd Question of the Day, whether it is here on Level 12 or other ones. More to come in upcoming episodes. Again, you can always find us patreon.com/remember64show. That is where you can get episodes early, vote on what we should play next, and even grab some sweet swag. Right now, we have a sticker up for sale. Of course, you can find us on social media at Remember64Show. All of our fun collecting shenanigans and things like the Nerd Question of the Day, you can find it all at Remember64Show, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, stay pixelated, my friends.